Every one of us is on a journey. In the book of Exodus, right at the beginning, we find the children of Israel, the descendants of Joseph, in slavery and under oppression. At the end of chapter 2, we hear the people of Israel crying out to God, and it says that God heard their cry. And in chapter 3, he responds. He has this conversation, this moment of holiness with Moses, where the very ground that they stand on is holy. And God said to Moses that he himself will come down and set his people free, his children free from the hand of the Egyptians. There are 3 main points in their journey. The beginning, where they're in slavery, in the middle, where they're traveling to their new home, and the third part, where they've entered into the promised land that God has for them. Sometimes life can be a little bit like that. We sometimes find ourselves in the darkest of places where there seems to be no hope, and it seems like we'll never really overcome, we'll never be free of that addiction, that situation, that problem. Sometimes when something happens, we just fail to be able to even see past it. It's like that is all we can see, that is all that's in front of us, and it just overwhelms and dominates how we think and how we live our lives. There was a time in my life where I was in a relationship for nearly 2 years, and I was very much in love, and she was in love with me, and we promised that we'd marry each other. And we ended up sleeping together, which was a really big mistake. And it wasn't too long after that where she ended things with me and was with all these different guys, and she got really, really messed up. And after seeing what would happen, I really meant my promise, and I wanted to spend my life with her. And I've been saving myself for marriage, and when things had gone that horribly wrong, it was just like my whole world came crumbling down around me. The woman I was in love with was gone. She'd done some things that I just couldn't even come to terms with. It was just so messed up. It was like Egypt for me. It was my slavery. I'd found myself trapped in this situation where I was just so bound and so caught up. It seemed like there was no way out. Many nights I would walk down to Stoneleigh train station, and I'd wait for the last fast train, wanting to throw myself in front of it and just end my life, just be rid of it. That was my way of thinking I'd be free from the burden that I carried. And many evenings when I would sit on that bench wanting to jump in front of the train and kill myself, the one thing that would keep me was his word. Not just the Bible, but the words that had been spoken over my life. I remember my parents telling me from a young age that they were told by doctors that they would never have children. My mum had had 3 miscarriages before me, and a lady in my church that I grew up in Clapham, had spoken a word one Sunday and said that my dad would have a son. She'd prophesied this, and my dad was hurting so much from losing the other 3, he didn't really believe in what she'd said, until my mum was pregnant, and she was having me. And she was losing me the same way that she'd lost the other 3. And my dad went forward to the front of the church for prayer on the Sunday. And the church cried out to God, and here I am. I'm alive and I'm here. He must have brought me this far for a reason. And as I'd sit on that bench and the train would be starting to come along, I'd hear this voice just echoing inside my heart. You are a promise from me. As I heard those words, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't throw myself in front of that train. I started to have hope again. I started to be able to believe. I knew that he still loved me, that he still accepted me, that he still had a plan for my life. That although I'd screwed things up, although I'd created this division between us, he'd already paid the price. There's this fantastic quote where a lady says to King David that even God, when those who are banished and far off, he plans a way for them back. And so although I was in this dark place of slavery, my Egypt, I knew I was about to embark on a new journey, that there was a way out, that Jesus had come and he had paid the price for my sins, that even though I'd done what I'd done, that through him things could be made right, that I could be right with God again, that I could go on this journey towards freedom